Wine tank materials, the effects on wine chemistry and quality. Fun fact, did you know a barrel maker is known as a cooper? Wine tank materials. There are many different materials used in wine storage tanks. Here are just a few. Wood barrels, stainless steel, concrete, amphora, plastic, and flex. Wine industries commonly use concrete and stainless steel tanks in fermentation, but the selection of a container depends on factors such as price, installation costs, requirements, maintenance costs, and monitorability. Most importantly, not all wine tanks are created equal. On this slide, we discussed wood barrels. Did you know that there were this many different types of barrels? Each have their own place in the industry, whether it be wine or cognac or beer. As we continue with wood barrels, it is important to note that barrel fermented wines generally presented 1.2-fold higher total phenolics, whereas tank fermented wines exhibited 1.1 and 1.2-fold greater total proanthocyanidin and anthocyanins contents, respectively. As you look in A to the left, those are the notes of the barrel, or of the wine in the barrel, of what happened after 12 months of aging in a tank, where B is after 12 months in a barrel. The photo in the top left is from the underground wine cellars of the Gideon Owen Wine Company in Port Clinton, Ohio. These wine barrels have been located in this cellar since the late 1800s, when they were last used to make wine. Today, they are merely there to showcase what would have happened in the past, although the wine cellar is now actively producing wine on both this upper level and the lower level. As we continue on to stainless steel, 304 is commonly used in food and culinary industries because it meets FDA sanitary regulations. Stainless steel is a type of metal containing corium that acts as a protective barrier against corrosion, and rust. Stainless steel is used for culinary uses as well as metal is a popular choice due to its shiny, sleek appearance, high rust resistance, and its easy sterilization capabilities. And did you know that nowadays wineries are kegging their wines? At Gideon Owen, we kegged our wines as it was easier to transport them in kegs than it was in cases of wine, as there tends to be breakage with glass. As shown on the left here, these are three different types of tanks, all using stainless steel. I have personally had knowledge with the square tanks in the middle. We use these to ferment our wines at Gideon Owen until our wine cellar was finished being built. Now we will discuss concrete and clay. A Chilean researcher has set up an investigation to determine the difference in tanks. They used must from Sauvignon Blanc and placed it in 4 diverse tanks. When tasting the 4 wines from the tanks, they were indifferent to each other in flavor. However, after a technical analysis, the wines from the egg-shaped tank had more residual sugar than the others. The concrete tank gave a slightly higher pH, and the steel tank took 5 days longer to ferment and got a slightly higher content of volatile acidity. There are a number of different ways to ferment and age a wine, from clay amphora to concrete eggs. It's also to note that tanks built with concrete have 64 times more environmental impact on marine aquatic ecotoxicity over stainless steel. While concrete is used, it is also extremely expensive to purchase and fragile. There is also a significant issue where the concrete meets the stainless steel fittings, as the two materials do not make a great contact. This requires a third material to be used to seal the gaps. As our next material is plastic in the flex tank, the company has designed the Apollo and the Orion in an egg shape to simulate the classic concrete and clay vessels. The oval contours will help promote yeast circulation throughout fermentation. As shown on the left side, the Apollo, as previously mentioned, looks quite a lot like a concrete or a clay egg. However, it's made entirely of plastic. As flex tanks are an increasingly popular line of wine storage vessels that are incredibly space efficient, cost effective, and also promote a micro oxidation on a level similar to a wooden barrel. The winery that I have chosen to work at for the last 4 years uses flex tanks. Almost 100% of their wines are made in these, with the exception of a few reds where they still have some old barrels. These are great as they cost a lot less, and yet they are still food grade safe plastic. It allows the oxygen to permit in small amounts as the same level as a 2-year-old wooden barrel. This will allow wine to age and breathe as though it were in a barrel, creating a thicker, creamier mouthfeel. There are 2 different grades of flex tanks depending upon the winemaker's goals. Either the maturation weight, which allows a level of oxygen transfer on par with the barrel, and a heavy weight level, which allows less oxygen transfer, approximately 50% less than the maturation rate. Additionally, shown here are the vertical tank heaters, also known as power blankets. These, when placed on IBC totes, as in the upper left corner, or in the vertical 220-gallon heater shown below, allow you to control the operating temperature range of the wines as they ferment and in storage. As we continue to look at the flex tanks, as shown in the photo on the left, you can see that there are multiple different sizes and shapes, as the old question is still asked, does size really matter? And as with many things wine related, size does matter. When using a barrel, if you use one that is too large for the amount of liquid that you have, it would allow too much headspace. However, using smaller barrels would allow the liquid to have a higher level of connection with the jarred internals of the barrel. So depending on whether you would like a more woody flavor or a less woody flavor could depend upon the size of your barrel in the end. Also, these flex tanks are available in a wide variety of shapes and sizes, anywhere from 15 gallons to 570 gallons. And they're super easy to clean, as I know from experience, as you are able to literally lay the barrel down on the ground and literally climb inside with the scrub brush to clean it. In conclusion, we have determined that the only true limitation of the different tanks that you wish to purchase for your winery is what you can afford. Each type of tank has its own unique benefit and drawbacks, so it's important to do your research before you set out to buy just any type of tank. Your wine is its own unique blend, so the best way to honor your wine is to ensure that its vessel helps accentuate its flavors and is a productive member of the winemaking process. As far as the sensory profile is concerned, a red wine, unless it's going to be light and fruity, you likely would like to place it in a barrel. Something that'll help pick up the oaky, the smoky, and vanilla flavors. Where a white wine, you may wish to leave it in stainless steel as you wish for it to keep the floral and fruity notes, with the exception of Chardonnay, as you may wish to barrel age it. So in the end, size and shape, depending on what style of wine you're making, depends on what type of container to use. Therefore, the answer to the age-old question is size and shape do matter. Listed here are the beginning of many slides of works cited lists. And there's another slide. And there's the final slide. Works cited. As for questions, I'll leave you with this thought. This is the early night wine from the Frontenac Point Estate Vineyard and Winery where I work. The wine is made in the style of a fortified white port, where the wine itself is made from Vidal and Vignot varieties, then fermented in the plastic flex tank until it's a finished wine. The brandy is made from our Cival. Then it is blended in with the original white wine after fermentation is complete and placed in oak barrels, where this barrel was left for 7 years to age. However, none of these white grapes ever sat on their skins. So, begs the question, to make an orange wine, maybe try placing a white wine in a barrel for a long period of time, or a recently charred barrel, which may allow you to pick up more color faster than it would be if it did it on its skins. But who knows?